Canada's Transportation Safety Board is launching an investigation into what went wrong on board the Titan submersible. 5 people on board the vessel are believed to have died shortly after it lost contact on Sunday. Debris found on the ocean floor could provide clues into the final moments of the ill-fated expedition. Sky's James Matthews has more from Boston.
There are all sorts of questions, of course, on a number of matters, not just about the debris, what debris was found, what does that indicate, what was the structural integrity of the Titan, this submersible vessel that was subject to catastrophic failure, an implosion seemingly on the way down towards the Titanic. But there are questions today about the search, the value of the search, given that the US Navy in the depths of the Atlantic picked up a sound using secret listening devices pretty soon after the submersible had made its dive. That was on Sunday. It immediately formed the search team about this sound that was consistent with a catastrophic implosion around the vicinity of where the submersible was. So there are questions being asked today by James Cameron, the director of the Titanic movie in particular. He's saying, well, what was the point if it was almost certain that that was the conclusion that should be reached at a very early stage? What was the point in continuing on for several days? I think the answer to that almost certainly would be, well, who's going to tell the families that without certain knowledge their loved ones have died, that we are abandoning the search? I think that's why it continued on. And, you know, we've heard from the families today, and I think the sense of human loss is framed by the statements that we have heard from, you know, the loved ones, the bereaved of the 5 who perished on board the Titan. There was a young lad, 19 years old, the student Suleiman Dawood. He was on board with his father. We learned in the past 24 hours that the reason he was on board is because his father had a lifelong obsession or attraction towards the Titanic. He'd invited his son to join him on this trip. Young Suleiman was reluctant to do so, but it was Father's Day weekend. He didn't want to upset his dad, and therefore he took the trip. But of course, questions do remain. Questions will be addressed in due course over a lengthy period, one imagines, about what happened, why it happened, how it happened, exactly, you know, the details of this carbon fiber mechanism and the suitability for that submersible to take this trip. That's an investigation that will take time. Right now, the family's focus clearly is on their tragic loss.
Meantime, email exchanges aboard safety on board the ill-fated Titan submersible have been revealed. Sky News understands OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush dismissed experts' concerns about client safety and ignored calls to have the vessel properly certified in 2018. Mr Rush, who was one of the 5 victims, said he was well qualified to understand the risks, but had a swipe at industry players who he alleged were stopping new sea exploration companies from starting up. The company's co-founder has defended his CEO's commitment to safety.
Stockton was one of the most astute risk managers I'd ever met. He was very risk averse. He was very keenly aware of the risks of operating in a deep ocean environment. And he was very committed to safety